follows Lina Marquez, a woman on the run who finds unexpected refuge on a quiet farm and in the heart of a man with wounds of his own. But when danger returns, can love and community stand against the past? Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you are watching from today. The morning sun cast long shadows across Copper Hill Farm as Samuel Hayes loaded hay bales onto his pickup truck. At 30 years old, Sam was known throughout the small town of Riverdale as a man of few words but generous actions. His strong arms, tanned from years of outdoor work, moved with practiced ease as he prepared for another day of honest labor. "Sam, you got a minute?" called Martha Wilson from the edge of the property. The 65-year-old woman had run the general store in town for as long as anyone could remember. Sam wiped the sweat from his brow and walked over to Martha. "Morning. Something wrong at the store?" Martha's expression was a mix of concern and hope. "Not exactly. There's a young woman who came into town last night. She's in pretty rough shape. Sam, sleeping in her car, clothes all torn up. Says she needs work." Sam frowned. "The Johnson farm might be hiring for the season. I sent her to you," Martha said firmly. "You know how to see the good in people." Before Sam could protest, Martha spotted the approaching figure walking slowly up the dirt road toward the farm. "That's her now. Her name's Lina Marquez. Just talk to her, Sam. That's all I'm asking." Sam sighed, knowing Martha well enough to recognize when arguing was pointless. He watched as the young woman approached. She couldn't have been more than 25, with dark hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. Her jeans were dusty, and he noticed a fresh gash on her knee. But what struck him most were her eyes, hollow, wary, constantly darting around as if searching for threats. "I'll leave you two to talk," Martha said, patting Sam's arm before heading back to town. Lina stopped a safe distance away from Sam. "The lady at the store said you might have work," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm a hard worker. I won't be a burden." Sam studied her for a moment. There was something in the way she stood, shoulders hunched, keeping her distance, never making direct eye contact, that told him more than words could. He'd seen that look before, in abandoned dogs that expected to be kicked. "You know anything about farming?" he asked. "Some. I grew up helping my grandfather with his vegetables. I can learn whatever I don't know." Sam nodded. "I could use help with the harvest coming up. Pay isn't much, but it's fair. There's an old barn with a loft that's clean enough to stay in if you need a place." Relief washed over Lina's face, though she tried to hide it. "When can I start?" "Now's as good a time as any," Sam replied. "I'll show you around." As they walked the property, Sam pointed out the fields of corn, the vegetable garden, the chicken coop, and the small orchard of apple trees. All the while, Lina kept a careful distance between them, flinching when he moved too quickly. "Barn's over there," he said, pointing to the large red structure. "The loft's got a bed and a small bathroom with a shower. Nothing fancy, but it's private." "Thank you," Lina said, looking at the ground. "You don't know me. You don't have to do this." Sam shrugged. "Everyone deserves a chance to prove themselves. You can start by helping me feed the chickens." The days fell into a quiet rhythm. Lina worked from sunrise to sunset, never complaining, always the first to volunteer for the hardest tasks. She ate her meals alone in the barn loft, despite Sam's casual invitations to join him in the farmhouse. Whenever customers came to buy fresh produce from the farm stand, she would disappear until they left. 2 weeks passed this way. Sam respected her need for space, but he couldn't help noticing the way her hands trembled when trucks backfired on the nearby road, or how she seemed to make herself smaller whenever he approached. One evening, as Sam was repairing the tractor in the yard, he spotted Lina sitting on a hay bale, watching the sunset. For the first time since her arrival, her face looked peaceful. He decided to try again. "Coffee?" he asked, holding out a thermos. Lina hesitated, then nodded. "Thanks." Sam poured the hot liquid into 2 cups and handed one to her, making sure their fingers didn't touch. He sat down on another hay bale, leaving plenty of space between them. "You're good with the animals," he commented, "especially that stubborn goat. He doesn't let just anyone milk him." A ghost of a smile crossed Lina's face. "Animals are easier than people. They don't lie to you." Sam nodded, letting the silence stretch comfortably between them. "Martha asks about you whenever I go to the store. She was kind to me," Lina said softly. "Not many people would help a stranger who looked like I did." "People around here look out for each other," Sam replied. "It's a small town. Everyone knows everyone." Lina's body tensed immediately. "Do they ask questions about me?" "Some. I told them you're a hard worker who keeps to herself. That's all they need to know." Relief softened her features. "Thank you." The next morning brought heavy rain, turning the farm's dirt paths into mud. Sam and Lina worked side by side, moving feed bags to higher ground to keep them dry. The rain pounded against the barn roof as thunder rolled in the distance. "We should get the chickens into the coop before it gets worse," Sam called over the noise of the storm. Lina nodded and grabbed a bag of feed to lure the free-ranging chickens back to safety. As she stepped out of the barn, her foot slipped in the mud. She fell hard, the feed bag splitting open around her. Her shirt tore further along an existing rip, the sleeve riding up to reveal a large yellowish-purple bruise on her upper arm. Sam was at her side in an instant. "Are you okay?" Lena scrambled to pull her sleeve down, but it was too late. She'd seen the look in his eyes. He'd noticed the bruise. She turned away, trying to get to her feet on the slippery ground. Sam reached out a hand to help her up, moving slowly so as not to startle her. When she refused to look at him, he gently placed a finger under her chin and lifted her face to meet his gaze. His eyes were kind but serious. "Whoever hurt you doesn't deserve to see you shine." Lena froze, her eyes widening. No one had ever said anything like that to her before. Not about shining, not about being worthy of it. She felt something crack inside her chest. Like ice breaking on a river in spring, she pulled away, unable to process the emotions flooding through her. "I need to change," she mumbled, gesturing to her mud-covered clothes. "Go ahead," Sam said, stepping back to give her space. "I'll take care of the chickens." In the privacy of the barn loft, Lena sat on the edge of her bed, trembling. She couldn't remember the last time someone had looked at her with such kindness, such respect. It terrified her. For the next few days, she worked harder than ever, keeping busy from dawn until well after dusk. She avoided being alone with Sam, afraid of what she might feel, afraid of trusting the warmth in his eyes, but Sam had a way of being present without pushing. He began leaving small gestures that she couldn't ignore: a thermos of fresh coffee outside her door in the mornings, a basket of apples from the orchard, a radio that appeared one day so she could listen to music while she worked. One afternoon, Lena returned to the barn to find Sam fixing the creaky door that had been bothering her for days. "You don't have to do that," she said, hovering at a distance. "Door needed fixing," he replied simply, hammering in the last nail. "How's your knee healing up?" "It's better," she said, touching the spot where the gash had been. "Almost gone now." Sam nodded, gathering his tools. "Good." As he passed by her to leave, Lena surprised herself by speaking again. "My ex-boyfriend did it." Sam stopped, turning slowly to face her. He didn't ask what she meant. They both knew. "Not the knee," she continued, her voice gaining strength. "The bruises. He said I was clumsy, that I brought it on myself. Said no one else would put up with me." Sam's jaw tightened, but his voice remained gentle. "He was wrong. I ran away 3 weeks ago," Lena admitted. "Took my car and just drove until I ran out of gas money. Ended up here." "You're safe now," Sam said firmly. "No one will hurt you here." That night, for the first time since arriving at Copper Hill, Lena slept without waking up to every sound. In the morning, she found fresh sunflower seedlings planted in small pots outside her door, with a note that simply read, "For your window." Over breakfast in the farmhouse kitchen, the first time she'd accepted Sam's invitation to eat together, Lena watched him scramble eggs with careful concentration. "Why are you doing all this?" she asked. "The coffee, fixing the door, the flowers." Sam placed a plate in front of her before sitting down with his own. "Everyone deserves kindness, Lena, especially people who haven't gotten much of it." "I don't know how to trust it," she admitted. "Kindness always came with strings attached before." "No strings here," Sam assured her. "Just neighbors helping neighbors." "Is that what we are? Neighbors?" Sam's eyes met hers, steady and clear. "We're whatever you need us to be. Friends, if you want. Just boss and worker if that's easier for you right now." Lena looked down at her plate, overwhelmed by his patience. "Friends might be nice. I haven't had many of those." "Then friends it is," Sam said with a smile that warmed the kitchen more. Then the morning sunlight streaming through the windows. September turned to October. The farm grew busy with the harvest. Local families came to pick apples in the orchard and select pumpkins from the patch. Rather than hiding away, Lena began helping at the farm stand, counting change and answering questions about the produce. Martha from the general store visited one afternoon, her face lighting up when she saw Lena smiling as she helped a child choose the perfect pumpkin. "You've worked miracles, Sam Hayes," Martha whispered, watching Lena from a distance. "I haven't done anything," Sam insisted. "She's strong. Always was. Just needed a safe place to remember it." Martha hummed knowingly. "And it has nothing to do with the way you look at her when you think no one's watching." Sam's ears turned red. "It's not like that, Martha." "Maybe it should be," the older woman replied with a wink before wandering over to chat with Lena that evening. After the last customers had left, Sam found Lena sitting on the porch steps of the farmhouse, a cup of tea warming her hands against the autumn chill. "Good day," he commented, sitting beside her. Lena nodded. "It was. I didn't think I'd enjoy talking to people again, but it wasn't so bad. You were great with them, especially the kids." They sat in comfortable silence watching the stars appear, one by one, in the darkening sky. "I told you a little about him," Lena said suddenly. "The man I ran from, but I haven't told you everything." Sam turned to look at her, his expression open. "You don't have to tell me anything you're not ready to share." "His name was Derek," Lena continued, her voice steady. "We were together for 3 years. It didn't start bad. He was charming, attentive, said he'd take care of me, and I believed him because I wanted to be taken care of after my grandparents died." She took a deep breath. "The control came so slowly I barely noticed. First it was checking my phone, then telling me what to wear, who I could talk to. Then came the yelling, the accusations. The first time he hit me, he cried afterward, promised it would never happen again. Sam remained silent, but she could. You feel the tension in his body beside her. But it did happen again and again. Until I started believing I deserved it, that I was nothing, just like he said. Lena's voice cracked. The night I left, he put me in the hospital. Cracked ribs, split lip. The nurse gave me a pamphlet about domestic violence while he was talking to the doctor. It was like waking up from a bad dream. I walked out of the hospital, went to our apartment while he was still there, grabbed what I could fit in a backpack, and took off in my car. You're the bravest person I've ever met, Sam said quietly. Lena looked at him in surprise. Brave. I spent 3 years being too scared to leave, and then you did leave. You saved yourself. That takes more courage than most people ever find. A tear slipped down Lena's cheek. I'm still scared, Sam. Scared he'll find me. Scared I'll never stop looking over my shoulder. Sam hesitated, then slowly, giving her every chance to pull away, he reached out and took her hand in his. You don't owe him your pain. You don't owe anyone your light. But I'd be honored just to stand near it. For the first time since arriving at Copper Hill Farm, Lena didn't pull away from his touch. Instead, she squeezed his hand, holding on like it was a lifeline in a storm she'd been fighting for too long. And above them, the stars continued to appear, one by one, filling the darkness with light. As October gave way to November, the crisp autumn air turned sharper with the promise of winter. The harvest season at Copper Hill Farm was coming to an end, and with it came a question that neither Sam nor Lena had spoken aloud. What would happen next? The morning after Lena had shared her story about Derek, she woke to find frost covering the farm and a delicate white blanket. She made her way to the farmhouse, where the smell of bacon and coffee greeted her before she even knocked on the door. It's open, Sam called from inside. Lena stepped into the warmth of the kitchen. Sam stood at the stove, spatula in hand, looking more relaxed than she'd ever seen him. Thought you might want a hot breakfast, he said with a smile. It's getting cold out there. Thanks, Lena replied, taking a seat at the table. The barn was pretty chilly this morning. Sam's expression turned concerned. The loft's not insulated well for winter. We should think about getting you a space heater at least. I've been meaning to talk to you about that, Lena said, looking down at her hands. Harvest season's almost over. I guess you won't need as much help around here soon. Sam placed a plate of eggs and bacon in front of her before sitting down with his own. There's always work on a farm, even in winter. Animals still need feeding, equipment needs maintenance. And I've been thinking about expanding the greenhouse for winter vegetables. Hope flickered in Lena's chest. So you'd still have a job for me? For as long as you want to stay, Sam said. Simply, this is your home now, if you want it to be. Home. The word struck Lena like a physical touch. She hadn't had a real home since her grandparents died. I'd like that, she whispered. After breakfast, they worked together preparing the farm for winter. Sam showed Lena how to insulate the pipes and cover the more delicate plants. Their hands occasionally brushed, and Lena no longer flinched at the contact. Martha invited us to Thanksgiving dinner at her place, Sam mentioned as they worked. The whole town gets together at the community center. It's quite a spread. Lena hesitated. I don't know if I'm ready for that many people. We could just stop by, say hello, and leave early if you want, Sam suggested. Or not go at all. It's up to you. Lena appreciated that he always gave up choices, never pushed or demanded. Maybe we could go for a little while. Martha's been so kind to me, Sam smiled. She'll be thrilled. Fair warning though, she's quite the matchmaker. Been trying to set me up with someone for years. Is that so? Lena found herself smiling back. Anyone catch your interest? Sam's eyes held hers for a moment too long to be casual. There might be someone. The moment was interrupted by the sound of tires on gravel. A police car pulled up to the farm, and Officer Pete Collins stepped out. He was a middle-aged man with a friendly face that Lena had seen around town occasionally. Morning, Sam, Pete called, walking over to them. How's everything? Can't complain, Sam replied, shaking the officer's hand. You know Lena. Pete nodded politely in her direction. Miss Marquez, nice to see you settling in. Lena tried to hide her sudden anxiety. Is something wrong, officer? Just doing my rounds, Pete said casually. Actually, Sam, I wanted to ask if you'd seen any strange vehicles around lately. We've had reports of some break-ins at farms in the next county over. Nothing unusual here, Sam answered, but we'll keep an eye out. Pete nodded. Good. Lena, did you get a chance to register your car with the DMV yet? Martha mentioned you were planning to stay on. Lena's heart raced. Her car registration was still under her old address, an address Derek knew. Not yet. I'll take care of it soon. No rush, Pete said easily. Just a reminder that the state requires an update within 60 days of relocating. Wouldn't want you getting a ticket. After the officer left, Lena couldn't stop shaking. Sam noticed immediately. What's wrong? He asked, guiding her to sit on a nearby hay bale. The registration, Lena said, trying to control her breathing. If I update it, there's a paper trail. Derek used to brag about his friend at the DMV who could look up addresses for him. Understanding dawned on Sam's face. He might be able to find you, Lena nodded, wrapping her arms around herself. I've been careful, paid cash everywhere, haven't used my credit cards. turned off location on my phone, but the car is in my name. Sam thought for a moment. What if we sell your car? You could buy another one, register it here under your name with the farm's address. I know a dealer in the next town who's honest. I don't have enough money for another car, Lena admitted. I could help, Sam offered. Consider it in advance, on your wages. Lena shook her head firmly. I can't take your money, Sam. I've been dependent on someone before. I won't do it again. Sam respected her decision. What about this? You keep working here. Save up through winter, and by spring you'll have enough for a decent used car. In the meantime, we can park your car in the back barn where it's not visible from the road. It was a sensible plan, and Lena agreed. That afternoon, they moved her old sedan into the rarely used storage barn, covering it with a tarp for good measure. As Thanksgiving approached, the whole town seemed to buzz with preparation. Martha recruited Lena to help bake pies at the store, which had a large kitchen in the back. Sam tells me you're staying on at Copper Hill, Martha commented as they worked side by side, rolling out pie dough. If that's okay with everyone, Lena replied cautiously. Martha laughed. Honey, it's more than okay. That farm's been too quiet since Sam's parents passed. He needs someone around to keep him from becoming a complete hermit. Lena smiled, relaxing into the familiar rhythm of baking. He's been very kind to me. That boy's got a heart bigger than he knows what to do with, Martha said, her eyes twinkling. And the way he looks at you, well, let's just say I haven't seen him look at anyone like that since Elizabeth broke his heart 5 years ago. Lena's hands stilled. Elizabeth, his fiancée, Martha explained, seemingly unaware of the bombshell she'd just dropped. City girl who thought she wanted country life until she actually tried it. Left him right before the wedding for some hotshot lawyer in Chicago. He never mentioned her, Lena said quietly. He wouldn't. Sam's not one to dwell on the past, but it hit him hard. Martha patted Lena's hand reassuringly. That's why it's so good to see him smiling again. You've been good for him too, you know. The idea that she could be good for anyone was still foreign to Lena. For so long she'd been told she was a burden, a problem to be fixed. But here in this small town, with these kind people, she was starting to see herself differently. Thanksgiving Day arrived, cold but sunny. Lena stood in front of the small mirror in the barn loft, nervously smoothing down the green sweater she'd bought at Martha's store. It was the first new piece of clothing she'd purchased in years. Derek had always chosen her clothes for her. A knock at the barn door pulled her from her thoughts. Lena, you ready? Sam called from outside. She took a deep breath and opened the door. Sam stood there in a clean flannel shirt and his best jeans, his hair still damp from a shower. He'd even trimmed his beard. For a moment, they just looked at each other. You look beautiful, Sam said finally, his voice rough. Lena felt her cheeks warm. Thank you, you clean up pretty well yourself. The community center was already packed when they arrived, the large room filled with tables groaning under the weight of food. Martha rushed over to greet them, pulling Lena into a warm hug. You came, and don't you look lovely, she exclaimed, then whispered in Lena's ear. I knew that green would bring out your eyes. Lena was introduced to what felt like the entire population of Riverdale. Everyone was welcoming, asking polite questions without prying. Sam stayed close by her side, his solid presence a comfort in the crowd. During dinner, Lena found herself seated between Sam and an elderly woman named Dorothy, who had taught at the local school for 40 years before retiring. So you're the one who's got Sam smiling again, Dorothy said without preamble. About time. Lena didn't know how to respond, but Sam saved her by changing the subject to Dorothy's famous cranberry sauce recipe. Throughout the meal, Lena noticed how well Sam was in the community. People sought his advice, valued his opinion, trusted his judgment. It was so different from how Derek had been viewed, charming to strangers, but feared by those who knew him well. Sam was the opposite, quiet in public but deeply trusted by all who knew him. After dinner, while people were mingling and sampling desserts, Lena stepped outside for a moment of quiet. The stars were just beginning to appear in the darkening sky. Too much? Sam asked, coming to stand beside her. Lena shook her head. Actually, it was nice. Your town is full of good people. Our town, Sam corrected gently. You're one of us. Now Lena turned to face him. Martha told me about Elizabeth. Sam's expression tightened slightly, but he didn't look away. I should have mentioned her myself. Why didn't you? At first it didn't seem important. Then, as I got to know you... He paused, searching for words. I didn't want you to think I was comparing. What happened with Elizabeth was different. She left you, Lena said softly. Sam nodded. She decided farm life wasn't exciting enough, said she needed more than I could give her. I'm sorry, Lena said, understanding now why he'd been so cautious, so patient with her. They'd both been hurt, just in different ways. Don't be, Sam replied. If she'd stayed, I wouldn't be standing here with you. The weeks after Thanksgiving brought the first snowfall of the season. Sam insisted on moving a small electric heater into the barn loft to keep Lena warm. They fell into a comfortable routine breakfast together in the farmhouse, working side by side during the day and often sharing dinner before Lena returned to the loft for the night. One evening, while cleaning out the farmhouse attic to make room for Christmas decorations, Lena discovered an old full-length mirror tucked behind some boxes. "Can I take this to the loft?" she asked Sam. "If you don't need it." "Sure," he replied. "It was my mother's. Been up here since she passed." Lena carefully carried the mirror to the barn and placed it in the corner of the loft. For years, she had avoided looking at her reflection. Derek had covered most of the mirrors in their apartment, saying he couldn't stand to see her moping face all the time. Now, alone in the loft, Lena stood before the mirror and really looked at herself. For the first time in years, the woman staring back was thinner than she remembered, but her cheeks had more color. The hollow look in her eyes was fading, replaced by something steadier. Calmer, she brushed her hair, watching the dark strands fall around her shoulders. Then, hesitantly, she smiled at her reflection. It was a small smile, tentative but real. The next morning, Sam was passing by the barn on his way to feed the animals when he glanced up and saw Lena through the loft window. She was standing in front of the mirror, and for the first time since he'd known her, she was smiling at her own reflection. He watched for a moment, feeling like he was witnessing something private and precious. When she turned and saw him, he didn't look away. "That's the woman I see every day," he called up to her. "You're finally starting to see her too." December brought preparations for Christmas. Sam and Lena cut a small pine tree from the back of the property and set it up in the farmhouse living room. Lena discovered a box of ornaments in the attic, many of them handmade by Sam's mother. "These are beautiful," she said, carefully unwrapping a delicate glass angel. "Mom made one every year," Sam explained, his voice warm with memory. "Said it was her way of marking time, one Christmas to the next." As they decorated the tree together, their hands occasionally brushed, lingering a little longer each time. The distance between them had been shrinking day by day, so gradually that Lena hardly noticed until suddenly she was aware of how close they stood, how comfortable she felt in his presence. "I haven't celebrated Christmas in years," Lena admitted. Derek said it was a waste of money. Sam's jaw tightened at the mention of her ex, but his voice remained gentle. "Well, around here, Christmas is a pretty big deal. The town has a parade, and everyone decorates their houses. Martha goes all out with the store window display." "It sounds wonderful," Lena said, smiling up at him. "It is," Sam agreed, his eyes never leaving hers. "And this year, I have someone special to share it with." The moments stretched between them, full of unspoken feelings. Lena felt herself leaning toward him slightly, drawn by something stronger than gravity. Sam's hand came up to gently brush a strand of hair from her face. The spell was broken by the ringing of the telephone. Sam reluctantly went to answer it, and Lena turned back to the tree, her heart racing. She was falling in love with him. The realization should have terrified her, but instead, it felt like finding solid ground after being adrift at sea. Sam returned, his expression troubled. "What's wrong?" Lena asked immediately. "That was Pete," Sam explained. "There's been another break-in closer this time. Johnson Farm just down the road. Someone ransacked the place while they were in town." "Was anyone hurt?" Lena asked, suddenly fearful. "No, the house was empty. But Pete said it seemed personal, like someone was looking for something or someone." Sam looked at her carefully. "Lena, is there any chance Derek could have tracked you here?" The question hit her like ice water. "I don't know. I've been so careful, but he's persistent. And if he bribed someone at the DMV to run my plates... I think we should be extra cautious," Sam said. "Lock all the doors, even during the day, and maybe you should stay in the house instead of the barn for a while." Lena stiffened. "I don't want to disrupt your life any more than I already have." "You haven't disrupted anything," Sam insisted. "You've made everything better. This big old house was too empty before you came along." "What if he does find me?" Lena asked, voicing her deepest fear. "He won't just leave, Sam. He'll try to hurt me. Maybe even you." Sam's expression hardened. "Let him try. This is your home now, and no one's going to take that away from you." That night, despite Lena's protests, Sam insisted she take his parents' old bedroom while he slept on the couch downstairs. She lay awake for hours, listening to every creak and groan of the old farmhouse, imagining Derek's face at the window, his fist on the door. When she finally fell asleep, she dreamed of running through endless cornfields, a shadowy figure always just behind her. If she woke with a start to find early morning sunlight streaming through the window and the smell of coffee wafting up from the kitchen. Downstairs, Sam was already dressed and making breakfast. The morning he greeted her. "Sleep okay?" "Not really," Lena admitted, accepting the mug of coffee he offered. "Bad dreams." "About him?" Sam asked, his voice gentle. Lena nodded, wrapping her hands around the warm mug. "What if he never stops looking for me, Sam? What if I spend the rest of my life looking over my shoulder?" Sam sat across from her at the kitchen table. "I've been thinking about that. There are legal options, restraining orders, police reports. Pete could help with that." "Those things are just pieces of paper," Lena said, shaking her head. "They didn't stop him before." "What about your family?" Sam asked. "Could they help?" Lena looked down at her coffee. "My parents died when I was little. My grandparents raised me, but they're gone too. There's no one else. You have me," Sam said firmly, "and this whole town. We take care of our own." Lena, before she could respond, Headlights swept across the kitchen window as a car pulled into the driveway. Lena froze, her heart pounding. Sam moved to the window and peered out. "It's just Pete," he said with relief, opening the front door as the police officer approached. Pete's expression was grim as he stepped inside. "Morning, Sam." "Lena, sorry to disturb you so early." "What's happened?" Sam asked. "Someone broke into the general store last night," Pete explained. "Martha's fine she was at her sister's in the next town. But whoever did it went through the employee records." Lena felt the blood drain from her face. "I filled out paperwork when I helped with the Thanksgiving baking. My name would be in those records." Pete nodded solemnly. "That's why I came straight here. The only things missing was some cash from the register and the employee files." "It's him," Lena whispered, her worst fears confirmed. "He's found me." Sam moved to her side immediately, his hand steady on her shoulder. "We don't know that for sure. Who else would break in just to steal employee records?" Lena counted, panic rising in her chest. Officer Pete cleared his throat. "Lena's right to be concerned. This doesn't look like a random break-in. What can we do?" Sam asked, his voice tight with controlled anger. "First, we need to file a report," Pete said. "Lena, if you have any previous police reports from incidents with your ex, that would help establish a pattern." Lena shook her head. "I never reported him. He always said no one would believe me because he's so respected in our hometown. He's a bank manager, serves on the city council. People like that are often the most dangerous," Pete remarked grimly. "They know how to maintain a good public image while being monsters in private." "We need to move Lena somewhere safe," Sam insisted. "He knows she works at the farm now." Pete nodded. "I was thinking the same thing. My sister has a cabin about 30 miles from here. Very remote. Hard to find unless you know exactly where you're going. She's in Florida for the winter, so it's empty." "I can't just run away again," Lena protested, though fear clawed at her throat. "This is my home now." "It's temporary," Sam assured her, his blue eyes intense. "Just until we figure out our next move. I'll go with you." "You can't leave the farm," Lena argued. "The animals need care, and you have deliveries scheduled." "Tom Johnson can check on the animals," Sam said, already planning. "He owes me for helping with his harvest anyway." Pete stood up. "I'll drive by the cabin on my way back to town. Make sure it's stocked with essentials. You two packed what you need and head out the back way, across the fields. Safer than taking the main road, in case someone's watching." After Pete left, Lena sank into a kitchen chair, her hands shaking. "I'm so sorry, Sam. I've brought nothing but trouble to your door." Sam knelt in front of her, taking her trembling hands in his. "Look at me, Lena." She raised her eyes to meet his. "You have nothing to be sorry for," he said firmly. "None of this is your fault, and I'm not letting you face this alone." "Why?" Lena whispered. "Why risk yourself for me?" Sam's gaze was steady. "Because you matter to me more than I can say." The simple truth in his words brought tears to her eyes. For a moment they just looked at each other, the air between them charged with unspoken feelings. Then Sam stood, gently pulling her to her feet. "We should pack only essentials. We can get anything else we need later." Within an hour, they had packed clothes, food, and basic supplies into Sam's old pickup truck. Sam had called Tom Johnson, who promised to come by twice daily to care for the animals. Martha, who had arrived at the farm after dealing with the police at her store, hugged Lena tightly. "You'll be back soon, honey," the older woman assured her. "And when you do come back, it'll be for good. That man won't take this life from you." As they prepared to leave, Pete returned with news. "I got the cabin ready. There's firewood stacked on the porch, and I left some extra supplies in the kitchen. The key is under the flower pot by the door." He handed Sam a piece of paper with directions. "Take the long way around." And Pete lowered his voice. "I left something in the bedroom drawer just in case." Sam nodded grimly, understanding the implication. The drive to the cabin took nearly 2 hours, much of it on winding back roads through dense forest. Lena sat quietly beside Sam, watching the familiar landscape of Riverdale disappear behind them. "What that happens if he finds us here too?" she finally asked, breaking the silence. Sam's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "He won't. And if he somehow does, he'll have to go through me to get to you." The cabin appeared before them, nestled among tall pines at the end of a nearly invisible dirt track. It was small but sturdy, built of dark logs with a stone chimney inside. It was clean and cozy, with a main room that served as kitchen and living area, a small bathroom, and a single bedroom. "I'll take the couch," Sam said immediately, setting their bags down. Lena looked at the narrow sofa and frowned. "You're too tall for that. We can share the bed." Sam's eyes widened slightly, but he didn't argue. They spent the afternoon settling in, Sam building a fire in the stone fireplace while Lena organized their food supplies in the small kitchen. The simple domestic tasks helped calm Lena's nerves, and by evening the cabin felt almost welcoming. After a simple dinner, they sat side by side on the worn couch in front of the fire. The crackling flames cast a warm glow over the room, and for a moment Lena could almost forget why they were there. "Tell me something I don't know about you," she said suddenly, turning to face Sam. He looked surprised. "Like what?" "Anything. Something from before I met you." Sam thought for a moment. I wanted to be a veterinarian when I was younger. Even got accepted to school for it. Why didn't you go? Lena asked. My dad got sick my senior year of high school. Mom needed help with the farm. By the time Dad passed, I'd already taken over most of the operation. He shrugged. Never really thought about leaving after that. Do you regret it? Sam shook his head. The farm is where I belong. It's who I am. What about Elizabeth? Lena asked softly. Would you have left the farm for her? She never asked me to, Sam replied. She said she loved the idea of farm life, fresh air, open spaces, being self-sufficient. But the reality was different. The long hours, the constant work, the isolation. She started spending more and more time in the city, and eventually she just didn't come back. Lena could see the old hurt in his eyes, though he spoke without bitterness. I'm sorry, don't be, Sam said. It was a long time ago, and looking back, we wanted different things from life. Better to find that out before the wedding than after. He turned the question back to her. What about you? What did you want to be before ... double quotes before Derek. Lena finished for him. I was studying to be a teacher at elementary school. I had one semester left when I met him. You'd be a great teacher, Sam said. The way you were with those kids at the pumpkin patch, they all loved you. Lena smiled at the memory. Maybe someday. Right now I'm just trying to figure out who I am without him telling me. I know who you are, Sam said quietly. You're the strongest person I've ever met, Lena scoffed. I don't feel strong, that's the thing about strength, Sam replied. It's not about feeling strong all the time. It's about continuing even when you don't. They talked late into the night, sharing stories from their childhoods, dreams for the future, favorite books and movies. It was the most Lena had talked in years. Derek had always done the talking for both of them when they finally went to bed. Lena was acutely aware of Sam's presence beside her, though he was careful to keep to his side of the mattress. In the darkness, she found courage. Sam, yeah, thank you for everything. She felt him turn toward her. You don't have to thank me, Lena. I do, she insisted. You've shown me kindness when I'd forgotten what it felt like. In the dim light filtering through the curtains, she could just make out his face. Without overthinking, she leaned forward and pressed a gentle kiss to his cheek. Good night, she whispered, settling back on her pillow. Good night, Lena, he replied, his voice husky. They fell into a routine over the next few days. Sam chopped firewood while Lena cooked. They took walks in the surrounding forest, Sam pointing out different trees and animal tracks. In the evenings, they played cards or read books they'd found on the cabin's shelves. It was an odd sort of peace, this hiding away together. Despite the threat hanging over them, Lena found herself happier than she'd been in years. On the fourth day, Pete drove up to the cabin with news from town. Someone's been asking questions about Lena, he reported grimly. Tall guy, dark hair, expensive suit. Says he's her boyfriend and she ran off after an argument. Claims he's worried about her. Lena felt her stomach twist. That's him, that's Derek. He's staying at the motel on the edge of town, Pete continued. Been going around showing Lena's picture to people. Says she's unstable, needs medication. That's a lie, Lena exclaimed. He always does this, makes people think I'm crazy. Don't worry, Pete assured her. Martha set him straight at the store. Told him no one by that name worked for her and suggested he try the next town over. He won't give up that easily, Lena said, wrapping her arms around herself. He'll know she's lying. The whole town is watching out for you, Pete said. No one's telling him anything, but you two should stay here a few more days, just to be safe. After Pete left, Lena paced the small cabin, unable to sit still. He's turning everyone against me, just like before, making them think I'm some unstable woman who needs to be controlled. No one in Riverdale believes him, Sam assured her. They know you, Lena. They've seen who you really are. You don't understand, Lena said, her voice rising. Derek is charming. He knows exactly what to say, how to act. He can convince anyone of anything. Not this time, Sam insisted. This time you have people on your side. But Lena couldn't shake her fear. That night, she barely slept, jumping at every sound from the forest outside. Sam stayed awake with her, his solid presence the only thing keeping her from complete panic. The next morning, Sam's cell phone rang. It was Martha, her voice urgent. He found out about the farm, she reported. Someone at the gas station mentioned you had a new farmhand. He's headed your way now. Sam thanked her and hung up, turning to Lena with a grave expression. He's going to the farm. We need to call Pete. But when Sam tried to reach the officer, the call went straight to voicemail. He must be on another call, Sam said, leaving a message explaining the situation. What if he hurts the animals? Lena asked, suddenly frightened for the innocent creatures she'd come to care for. Tom's there today, Sam reminded her. He won't let anything happen. An hour later, Sam's phone rang again. It was Tom, his voice shaken. Some guy showed up at the farm, demanding to know where Lena is, Tom reported. When I said I didn't know any Lena, he got real nasty. Started threatening me, saying he knew I was hiding her. Are you okay? Sam asked. I'm fine. Pete showed up before things got out of hand, told the guy to leave or be arrested for trespassing. And did he leave? Tom hesitated. Yeah, but he said some things, Sam, about coming back. About finding her no matter what. He seems dangerous. After hanging up, Sam relayed the conversation to Lena, who had grown paler with each word. This is what he does, she said, her voice hollow. He won't stop. He'll keep coming back, keep threatening people, until he gets what he wants. Which is you, Sam said grimly. Lena nodded. I should just go back with him before he hurts someone. No, Sam's voice was firm. That is not an option. Then what? Lena cried. Hide forever. Run to another town where he'll just find me again. I'm tired of running, Sam. I'm tired of being afraid. Sam took her hands in his. Then we stop running. We face him how? On our terms, not his. That evening they formulated a plan. Sam called Pete, who agreed to help. Then he called Martha, Tom, and several other townspeople who had become Lena's friends. By morning, everything was arranged. Are you sure about this? Sam asked Lena as they prepared to leave the cabin. We can find another way. Lena took a deep breath. I'm sure. I can't keep living in fear. It's time to end this. They drove back to Riverdale, taking the main road this time. As they passed the Welcome to Riverdale sign, Lena felt a strange calm settle over her. Whatever happened today, she wouldn't be facing it alone. Pete met them at the police station, his expression serious. He's still at the motel. Martha called to let him know she heard something about Lena being seen in town today. So he'll be looking for me, Lena said. Pete nodded. That's the plan. Are you ready for this? Lena squared her shoulders. As ready as I'll ever be. The town square was quiet that morning, just a few people going about their business, all of them friends who had been briefed on the plan. Lena sat alone on a bench in front of the general store, her heart pounding but her resolve firm. Sam and Pete watched from inside the store, staying out of sight but keeping Lena in view through the window. Martha stood behind the counter, pretending to arrange merchandise while actually keeping an eye on the street. They didn't have to wait long. A sleek black car pulled up to the curb, and Derek stepped out. He was exactly as Lena remembered. Handsome in a cold way, impeccably dressed. His eyes scanned the square before landing on her. His voice was controlled, pleasant even, as he approached. I've been so worried about you. Lena stood to face him, her legs shaking but her voice steady. Hello, Derek. What are you doing in this backwater town? He asked, smiling as if they were having a casual conversation. It's time to come home now. I've forgiven you for running off. Forgiven me, Lena repeated, disbelief in her voice. Derek's smile tightened. Let's not make a scene. Get your things and we'll go home. We can put this whole unfortunate episode behind us. I am home, Lena said firmly. I'm not going anywhere with you. Derek's pleasant facade slipped for just a moment, revealing the anger beneath. Don't be ridiculous. You belong with me. No, I don't, Lena replied, her voice growing stronger. I don't belong to you or with you. Not anymore. Derek stepped closer, lowering his voice. Is this about the fight we had? I said I was sorry about that. You know how you provoke me sometimes. What I know, Lena said clearly, is that you hurt me for years, and I'm not letting you hurt me ever again. Derek's face darkened. You ungrateful bitch. After everything I've done for you, done for me, Lena interrupted, her voice rising. You isolated me from my friends. You controlled what I wore, what I ate, who I talked to. You made me believe I was worthless without you. People in the square had stopped to watch now, including Tom Johnson and several other farmers who had positioned themselves strategically around the area. You're making a fool of yourself, Derek hissed. These people don't know you like I do. They don't know how unstable you are. Actually, Martha called from the store doorway. We know Lena quite well, and we think she's pretty wonderful. Derek turned, surprised to find himself suddenly surrounded by unfriendly faces. This isn't your concern, he snapped at Martha. This is between me and my girlfriend. Ex-girlfriend, Lena corrected firmly. And these people are my friends. You don't have friends, Derek scoffed. You never could keep any because you drove them all away, Lena countered, but not this time. Derek's control finally snapped. He grabbed Lena's arm roughly. Enough of this nonsense. We're leaving. Take your hands off her. Sam's voice cut through the tension like a knife as he emerged from the store. Pete right behind him. Derek looked Sam up and down with contempt. Who's this? Your new boyfriend? Is that what this is about? You're cheating on me with some dirt. Farmer, I'm the man telling you to let her go, Sam said, his voice dangerously calm. Now, Derek didn't release his grip. Stay out of this, Hick. This doesn't concern you. It concerns all of us, Pete said, stepping forward and flashing his badge. I'm Officer Collins, and you're hurting a citizen of my town. Derek hesitated, then released Lena's arm with a shove that would have sent her stumbling if Sam hadn't been there to steady her. Officer, this woman is mentally unstable, Derek said, his voice shifting to a concerned tone. She needs professional help. I'm just trying to get her back to her doctors. Funny, Pete replied. I've got a stack of statements from folks in this town about how stable and hardworking Lena is. What I don't have is any documentation of these doctors you claim she needs. Check her medical records, Derek insisted. She has a history of delusions. The only delusion, Lena said clearly, Was thinking I deserved the way you treated me. She rolled up her sleeve, revealing the now faded bruise on her arm. This is from the last time I saw you, Derek. Just like the cracked rib and the split lip that sent me to the emergency room. The one where a nurse finally helped me see that I needed to get away from you. Derek's face contorted with rage. You're lying. She falls all the time. She's clumsy. That's enough, Pete said firmly. Mr. Harrison, I think it's time for you to leave Riverdale. I'm not going anywhere without her, Derek snarled. Yes, you are, Pete replied, unless you'd prefer to leave in handcuffs. On what charge? Derek demanded. For starters, assault, Pete said, nodding toward Lena's arm, where Derek's grip had left fresh red marks. And we can add breaking and entering for the general store, harassment, stalking, trespassing on private property. Derek's eyes darted around, taking in the crowd of unfriendly faces surrounding him. For the first time, he seemed to realize he was outnumbered. This isn't over, he hissed at Lena. You think these people care about you? They'll see the real you eventually. We already see the real Lena, Sam said, stepping closer to her side. And we like what we see just fine. Derek looked from Sam to Lena, his expression twisted with hatred. You'll regret this, both of you. The only thing I regret, Lena said steadily, is not leaving you sooner. Pete placed a hand on Derek's shoulder. Time to go, Mr. Harrison. I'll escort you to the town line myself. For a moment, it seemed Derek might resist. Then, with a last venomous glare at Lena, he allowed Pete to lead him back to his car. As the black sedan drove away, Lena felt her knees buckle. Sam caught her before she could fall, his arms strong and sure around her. It's over, he murmured into her hair. You did it, Lena. You stood up to him. The townspeople gathered around, offering words of support and gentle touches on her shoulder. Martha wrapped her in a fierce hug, whispering, I'm so proud of you, honey. But even as the relief washed over her, Lena couldn't shake the chill of Derek's final words. This isn't over. She knew him well enough to know he meant it. Back at the farm that evening, Sam insisted Lena stay in the house rather than return to the barn loft. Just to be safe, he said, though Pete had promised to keep an eye on the property. They sat together on the porch swing, watching the stars appear one by one in the darkening sky. Lena leaned against Sam's shoulder, exhausted, but strangely peaceful. Thank you, she said softly, for standing with me today, for believing in me. Sam's arm tightened around her. Always do you think he's really gone? Lena asked, voicing her lingering fear. Pete followed him all the way to the highway, Sam assured her, and he's got friends in the county sheriff's office watching for his car. If Derek comes back, we'll know. Lena nodded, trying to believe it was truly over. But something in Derek's eyes had frightened her, a cold determination that she recognized all too well. Whatever happens, Sam said, seeming to read her thoughts, we'll face it together. You're not alone anymore, Lena. She turned to look at him, really. Look at him, this man who had shown her nothing but kindness and respect from the moment they met. The man who had helped her remember who she was beneath the fear and pain. Sam, she whispered, her heart suddenly racing for a different reason. I think I'm falling in love with you. His eyes widened, and for a terrible moment Lena thought she had made a mistake. Then his hand came up to gently cup her cheek, his touch reverent. I know I'm in love with you, he replied, his voice rough with emotion. Have been almost since you arrived. Lena leaned into his touch, closing her eyes. I'm still broken in so many ways. Not broken, Sam corrected gently. Healing, and I'd be honored to be part of that healing, if you'll let me. When their lips finally met, it was soft and sweet, and nothing like the demanding kisses Derek had forced on her. Sam kissed her like she was precious, like he had all the time in the world to show her how much she meant to him. For the first time in years, Lena felt something unfamiliar bloom in her chest. Hope for a future free from fear. Hope for love that built up rather than tore down. But as they sat wrapped in each other's arms under the starlit sky, neither of them noticed the dark figure watching from the edge of the cornfield. His eyes, cold with hatred and revenge. The following day dawned bright and clear, the December sun glinting off frost-covered fields. Lena woke in Sam's parents' old bedroom, momentarily disoriented before remembering everything that had happened. The confrontation with Derek, the townspeople standing with her, and finally, that tender moment with Sam on the porch. A soft knock on the bedroom door pulled her from her thoughts. Lena, you awake? Sam called. Yes, come in, she replied, sitting up and smoothing her hair. Sam entered carrying a tray with coffee, toast, and scrambled eggs. Thought you might like breakfast. In bed after yesterday. The simple kindness of the gesture brought tears to Lena's eyes. Thank you. Sam set the tray on her lap and sat on the edge of the bed. How are you feeling this morning? Honestly, a little numb, Lena admitted. It doesn't seem real that I finally stood up to him. You were amazing, Sam said, his eyes warm. With admiration, the whole town is talking about it. Lena smiled weakly. I'm not sure I deserve all that praise. I was terrified the entire time. Being brave isn't about not feeling fear, Sam reminded her. It's about doing what needs to be done despite the fear. As they ate breakfast together, the events of the previous day settled into something more manageable in Lena's mind. She had faced her worst nightmare and survived. Derek had left town. She was safe, so why couldn't she shake the feeling that something was still wrong? Pete called this morning, Sam mentioned as if reading her thoughts. Derek checked out of the motel and his credit card shows a gas purchase about 100 miles from here, heading east. Back toward our old town, Lena said, relief washing over her. Looks that way, Sam agreed. Pete says he'll keep tabs on him for a while, just to be sure. After breakfast, they fell into their usual farm routine. There was comfort in the familiar tasks, feeding the animals, checking the greenhouse, repairing a loose board on the chicken coop. Yet Lena found herself jumping at small noises, constantly scanning the tree line around the property. Sam noticed her unease. Why don't we go into town for lunch? Martha mentioned she's making her famous chili. Today, Lena hesitated. I'm not sure I'm ready to face everyone after yesterday's scene. You'll only see support, I promise, Sam assured her. These people care about you, Lena. The idea that an entire community would rally around her was still foreign, but Lena was learning to accept it. Okay, she agreed. Let me change first. The general store was busier than usual when they arrived. The moment Lena walked in, conversations paused briefly before erupting into warm greetings and gentle pats on her shoulder. Martha emerged from behind the counter to envelop her in a fierce hug. There's our brave girl, the older woman said. Proudly, I saved you to the best table in the back. As they made their way through the store, Lena was overwhelmed by the kindness directed her way. Tom Johnson gave her a respectful nod. Dorothy, the retired teacher, squeezed her hand warmly. Even gruff old Mr. Peterson, who rarely spoke to anyone, tipped his hat to her. See, Sam whispered. I told you. Over steaming bowls of chili, Lena began to relax. The normalcy of the moment, sitting in a crowded store, sharing a meal with someone who cared about her, felt like a gift after the drama of yesterday. I've been thinking, Sam said as they were finishing their lunch. Christmas is next week. Would you like to do something special? Maybe drive to the city to see the lights? The thought of celebrating Christmas, really celebrating, not just going through the motions as she had with Derek, made Lena smile. That sounds wonderful. And there's the town Christmas festival this weekend, Martha added, stopping by their table. Tree lighting, caroling, hot cocoa, the works. We'll be there, Sam promised, his eyes never leaving Lena's face. The peaceful moment was shattered by the sudden appearance of Pete at their table, his expression grim. Sam, Lena, he said urgently. We need to talk now. They followed Pete to a quiet corner of the store, alarm growing at his serious demeanor. What's wrong? Sam asked. That credit card trail. It was a fake out, Pete said, keeping his voice low. Derek used his card at that gas station, but he wasn't there. He gave it to a trucker heading east. Lena felt her blood run cold. He's still here. Pete nodded grimly. A guest at the Riverside Motel reported a man matching his description, checking in late last night, paid cash, used a different name. Has anyone seen him today? Sam asked, his hand finding Lena's and squeezing gently. No, and that's what worries me, Pete replied. His car isn't at the motel either. He's planning something, Lena whispered, the familiar fear creeping back. I've got deputies watching the farm and the roads, Pete assured them. And I think you should both stay in town tonight. My place has a spare room. No, Lena said, surprising herself with her firmness. I'm not running anymore. The farm is our home. Sam looked at her with concern. Lena, it might not be safe. Nowhere is completely safe as long as Derek is out there, she pointed out. But I won't let him drive me from another home. I won't let him take this from me, too. After some discussion, they reached a compromise. They would return to the farm, but Pete would station a deputy on the property overnight. Sam also called Tom and 2 other neighboring farmers who agreed to take shifts, keeping watch from their trucks parked along the farm's perimeter. As they drove back to Copper Hill that afternoon, the sky had grown dark with threatening snow clouds. Lena stared out the window, her mind racing with worst-case scenarios. What if he hurt someone trying to get to me? She asked quietly. Tom or Martha, or her voice caught, or you. Sam reached across the seat to take her hand. No one's getting hurt. We're all looking out for each other. That's what community means. Lena, back at the farm, they checked every door and window, making sure everything was locked. Sam brought in extra firewood while Lena prepared dinner, both of them trying to maintain a sense of normalcy despite the tension. As night fell, snow began to drift down, large flakes swirling in the glow of the porch light. Deputy Wilson, a young officer who had volunteered for the first watch, sat in his patrol car at the end of the driveway, a thermos of coffee in hand. Inside, Sam built a fire in the living room fireplace while Lena made hot chocolate. They sat together on the couch, the crackling flames casting warm shadows across the room. I've been thinking about what you said yesterday, Sam began, his voice gentle, about falling in love with me. Lena felt her cheeks warm. I meant it. I know. You did, Sam replied, taking her hand. And I meant what I said too. I love you, Lena, more than I thought possible. Even with all this drama I've brought into your life, she asked, only half joking. Even with all of it, Sam assured her. Before you came along, my life was quiet, peaceful, but it was also empty in ways I didn't fully understand until you showed up at my gate. Lena looked into his eyes, seeing nothing but sincerity there. When I first arrived here, I was so broken. I couldn't imagine ever feeling safe again, much less loved. But you never pushed. You just, were there, steady, patient. I knew you needed time, Sam said simply. Good things are worth waiting for. Lena leaned forward, gently pressing her lips to his. Unlike their first kiss the night before, this one held a promise of a future together, of healing, of home. When they finally parted, Sam rested his forehead against hers. Whatever happens with Derek, we'll face it together. And when it's over, we'll have our whole lives ahead of us. They stayed up late talking about those possible futures. Sam mentioned expanding the greenhouse, maybe adding a flower garden in the spring. Lena shyly admitted she'd been thinking about contacting the local school about substitute teaching positions. You'd be wonderful with the children, Sam encouraged her. And it's only a part-time commitment at first, so you could still help with the farm. Around midnight, Deputy Wilson called to report that all was quiet. The snow was coming down harder now, blanketing the farm in pristine white. Tom called next, saying he and the others would continue their watch despite the weather. We should get some sleep, Sam suggested. I'll take the couch down here. Keep an eye on things. No, Lena said firmly. We both need rest. The deputy is outside. The doors are locked. We'll be fine upstairs. Reluctantly, Sam agreed. They checked all the locks one last time before heading up to the main bedroom. Despite her brave words, Lena found it hard to relax enough to sleep. She lay awake listening to the soft sound of Sam's breathing beside her, the occasional creak of the old farmhouse settling, the whisper of snow against the windows. She must have dozed off eventually, because she woke suddenly to complete silence. The kind of heavy silence that comes with deep snowfall in the countryside. The digital clock on the bedside table read 3:17 a.m. Something had woken her, a sound, a feeling. Lena lay perfectly still, listening intently. Sam slept peacefully beside her, unaware of her sudden alertness. There a soft creak from downstairs. The third step from the bottom of the staircase, the one that always groaned no matter how carefully you stepped. Lena's heart began to pound. It could be nothing, just the house settling in the cold, but deep down she knew better. Carefully, so as not to wake Sam, she slipped out of bed and moved to the bedroom door. She opened it just a crack, peering into the darkened hallway. Nothing, but she could feel a presence in the house that didn't belong. She closed the door silently and moved back to the bed, gently shaking Sam awake. Someone's in the house, she whispered when his eyes opened. Sam was instantly alert. Are you sure? Lena nodded. I heard the stairs. Sam reached for his cell phone on the nightstand, intending to call Deputy Wilson, but there was no signal. The storm must have knocked out the cell towers, he muttered. He rose quietly, pulling on his jeans. Stay here. Lock the door behind me. No, Lena whispered fiercely. We stay together. Before Sam could argue, they heard the unmistakable sound of someone trying the bedroom door handle. It turned slowly, but the lock held. I know you're in there, Lena. Derek's voice came through the door, chillingly calm. Open up, we need to talk. Lena felt her entire body go cold with fear. Sam moved in front of her protectively. Leave now, Derek, Sam called firmly. The police are on their way. A soft laugh came from the other side of the door. No, they're not. Your deputy friend is taking a little nap in his car, and the storm's taking care of the phone lines. It's just us. What do you want? Lena found her voice, though it trembled. What's mine? Derek replied simply. You. I've come to take you home, Lena. This is my home now, Lena said, stronger this time. I'm not going anywhere with you. Derek's voice hardened. Don't make this difficult. I'm trying to be reasonable here. Reasonable, Sam interjected. Breaking into someone's house in the middle of the night is reasonable. Stay out of this, farmer, Derek snapped. This doesn't concern you. Lena concerns me, Sam replied steadily, and she's made her choice clear. There was a moment of silence. Then Derek spoke again, his voice dangerously soft. I was hoping we could handle this like adults. But if you insist on being difficult. The sound of something heavy hitting the door made Lena jump. Sam pulled her toward the window. The porch roof, he whispered. We can climb out, drop down, to the ground. As Derek continued to ram the door, they quickly pulled on boots and coats. Sam pushed the window open, letting in a blast of cold air and swirling snow. You go first, he told Lena. I'm right behind you. Lena climbed through the window onto the slippery roof just as the bedroom door splintered open. She heard Sam shout, as Derek burst into the room, but she couldn't see what was happening. Then Sam appeared at the window, a trickle of blood running from his lip. Go, he urged, climbing out after her. They made their way carefully across the snow-covered roof, the icy surface treacherous underfoot. Behind them, Derek appeared at the window, his face contorted with rage. There's nowhere to run. Lena, he shouted into the swirling snow. I'll find you wherever you go. Sam helped Lena to the edge of the roof. It's about 8 feet down, he explained. Hang from the edge, then drop. The snow will cushion your fall. Lena nodded, too terrified to speak. She lowered herself over the edge of the roof, feeling the sharp bite of the gutter against her fingers. Then she let go, falling briefly before landing in a deep snowdrift with a soft thump. Sam followed immediately after, landing beside her. With a grunt, "The barn," he whispered, helping her to her feet. "We can lock ourselves in and use the landline there to call for help." They ran through the swirling snow, the bitter cold stinging their faces. Behind them, they heard Derek shouting as he made his way back through the house to the front door. The barn loomed ahead, a dark shadow against the white landscape. Sam pulled open the heavy door, ushering Lena inside before securing it with the large wooden bar that served as a lock. "The phone's in the office," Sam said, leading her through the darkness toward the small room at the back of the barn where he kept his farm records. But when they reached the office, they found the lad dead as well. "He must have cut the wires," Sam realized grimly. "What do we do now?" Lena asked, trying to keep the panic from her voice. Sam thought quickly. "The back door. We can take the ATV from the equipment shed, try to reach Tom's place." Before they could move, a crash came from the front of the barn. Derek trying to break through the barred door. "Get behind me," Sam instructed, grabbing a pitchfork from where it leaned against the wall. The banging continued, growing more frantic. "I know you're in there," Derek shouted. "You think a wooden door can keep me from what's mine?" Lena's mind raced. They were trapped. Even if they made it to the back door, Derek would hear them and follow. And in the open fields, with the heavy snow limiting visibility, they'd be vulnerable. "Sam," she said suddenly, an idea forming. "The hayloft, the pulley system." Sam's eyes widened in understanding. The large pulley system used to move hay bales to the upper level of the barn could be their advantage. "Go up the ladder," he whispered. "I'll be right behind you." Lena climbed quickly to the hayloft while Sam prepared the pulley. Just as Derek broke through a section of the barn door, Sam scrambled up the ladder to join her from their elevated position. They watched as Derek forced his way into the barn, a crowbar in his hand. Snow dusted his expensive coat, and his face was flushed with cold and anger. Come out, wherever you are," he called, his voice echoing in the large space. "You're only making this harder on yourselves." Sam motioned for Lena to stay back as he positioned himself near the edge of the loft, directly above the pulley system's loading area. If Derek stepped into the right spot, they could use the mechanism to their advantage. Derek stalked through the barn, checking the stalls, one by one. "I'm getting tired of this game, Lena," he called. "You know how I get when I'm tired." Lena shuddered at the familiar threat in his voice. So many times she had heard those words before pain followed. "You never should have left," Derek continued, moving closer to their position. "Everything was fine until you got these ridiculous ideas about independence. Who filled your head with that nonsense?" "This farmer boy." He stood now directly beneath the hayloft, peering into the shadows. "Did he tell you he loves you? That he'll take care of you?" "Men say lots of things to get what they want, Lena. You should know that by now." "The difference," Lena called out, unable to stay silent any longer, "is that Sam meant it." Derek's head snapped up, finally spotting them in the loft. A cold smile spread across his face. "There you are. Why don't you come down, and we can talk about this reasonably?" "There's nothing to talk about," Lena replied, finding strength in Sam's steady presence beside her. "It's over, Derek. It has been for months." Derek's smile disappeared. "It's over when I say it's over. Now get down here before I lose my patience." "You heard her," Sam said firmly. "It's over. Leave now while you still can." Derek's laugh was ugly. "Or what, farmer? You'll throw hay at me? I've dealt with bigger men than you." "Maybe," Sam agreed, but they weren't fighting for something that mattered. Derek started toward the ladder, crowbar raised. "Enough talk. If you won't come down, I'll come up." As he positioned himself at the bottom of the ladder, his back to the pulley system, Sam gave Lena a quick nod. Together, they pushed the release lever for the hay bale that hung suspended above. The heavy bale dropped with astonishing speed, striking Derek squarely between the shoulders. He crumpled to the ground with a shocked cry, the crowbar clattering away across the concrete floor. Sam was down the ladder in an instant, using baling wire to secure Derek's hands behind his back before he could recover. Lena followed more slowly, her legs shaky with adrenaline. Derek lay stunned but conscious, his face contorted with pain and rage. "You'll regret this," he spat. "Both of you." "The only thing I regret," Lena said, looking down at the man who had controlled her life for so long, "is not doing this sooner." A commotion at the barn door drew their attention. Deputy Wilson, along with Tom and another farmer, burst in, shotguns raised. "We heard the crash," Tom explained, taking in the scene with wide eyes. "Deputy here was just coming around from whatever this fella did to him." Wilson looked embarrassed. "He must have drugged my coffee. I woke up locked in my own patrol car." "Well, you're just in time for the arrest," Sam said, nodding toward Derek. "Breaking and entering, assault, attempted kidnapping should be enough to keep him locked up for a while." As Wilson read Derek his rights and led him away, Lena felt something release inside her, not of fear. She had carried for so long she'd forgotten what it felt like to be without it. Sam wrapped his arm around her shoulders. "It's really over." Now Lena leaned into his warmth. Yes, it is. The days that followed passed in a blur of police statements, phone calls from concerned townspeople, and preparations for Christmas. Derek was held without bail, facing multiple charges. His previous charm failed him when 3 other women from his past came forward with similar stories of abuse after hearing about Lena's case on the local news. The town Christmas festival went on as planned, though delayed a day by the snowstorm. The town square glittered with colored lights, and the massive pine tree at its center was decorated with ornaments made by local children. "It's beautiful," Lena breathed as she and Sam joined the crowd gathering for the tree lighting. "Not as beautiful as you," Sam replied, his eyes reflecting the twinkling lights around them. Martha bustled over, pressing cups of hot cocoa into their hands. "The guests of honor. Everyone's been asking about you two." Word of their barn confrontation with Derek had spread throughout Riverdale, growing more dramatic with each telling. By now, according to town gossip, Sam had single-handedly fought off Derek while Lena called in the National Guard. "We've been trying to keep a low profile," Lena admitted. "All the attention is a bit overwhelming. We'll get used to it," Martha chuckled. "You're local celebrities now." As the mayor began the countdown to the tree lighting, Sam slipped his arm around Lena's waist. "Any regrets," he asked quietly, "about staying here?" "I mean," Lena looked up at him, at this man who had shown her what real love looked like. "Not a single one." The tree blazed to life as the crowd cheered, and snow began to fall gently around them, like a blessing from above. "I have something for you," Sam said, reaching into his pocket. "An early Christmas gift." He handed her a small wrapped package. Lena opened it carefully to find a delicate silver key on a chain. "It's a key to the farmhouse," Sam explained. "I know you've been staying there anyway, since the incident, but I wanted to make it official. That house is your home now, Lena, for as long as you want it to be." Tears filled Lena's eyes. "It's perfect." "There's more," Sam said, his voice growing serious. "I'm not rushing you, and I know we have all the time in the world, but I want you to know what I'm hoping for. That someday, when you're ready, that key might mean something more. A future together, a family, maybe." Lena's heart swelled with emotion. "I'd like that. Very much." Sam's smile was brighter than all the Christmas lights combined. "Yep." "Yeah," Lena confirmed, standing on tiptoe to kiss him as the snow fell around them and the townspeople applauded the beautiful tree, though Martha, watching from nearby, was certain they were applauding the young couple instead. Christmas morning dawned clear and cold at Copper Hill Farm. Lena woke early, slipping out of bed without disturbing Sam. She made coffee and carried it to the porch, wrapped in a warm blanket against the chill. The farm stretched before her, peaceful under its blanket of snow. In the distance, she could see the barn where they had finally ended Derek's hold over her life. Beyond that, the fields where, come spring, new life would emerge. Sam joined her after a while, sleep-rumpled and handsome in the morning light. "Penny for your thoughts." Lena smiled up at him. "I was just thinking about that first day I showed up here, how scared I was, how I couldn't even look you in the eye, and now," Sam asked, sitting beside her on the porch swing. "Now I know what you saw in me even then," Lena replied. "The person I could be if I wasn't afraid all the time. The woman who was strong enough to leave him, to start over, to stand up for herself. I didn't put that strength in you," Sam said gently. "It was always there. You just needed a safe place to find it again." Lena leaned her head against his shoulder. "And you gave me that, a safe place, a home." "Speaking of home," Sam said, reaching into his pocket, "I have one more Christmas gift for you." He handed her an envelope. Inside was an application for the local community college's education program to finish your teaching degree. Sam explained, "If you want to. The spring semester starts in January." Lena stared at the paper in her hands, possibilities unfurling before her like a road leading to the horizon. "Sam, this is. I don't know what to say." "Say you'll follow your dreams," Sam encouraged, "whatever they are, wherever they lead." "My dreams are right here," Lena said softly, "with you. This farm, this life we're building. But, yes, teaching is part of that dream too." Sam's kiss was gentle, full of promise. "Merry Christmas, Lena." "Merry Christmas, Sam," she replied, her heart fuller than she had ever thought possible as they sat together watching the sun rise over Copper Hill Farm. Lena marveled at how far she had come, from a frightened woman sleeping in her car to someone who knew her own worth, who had found not only safety but love. The journey wasn't over. Healing rarely followed a straight path. There would be difficult days ahead, moments when old fears resurfaced, times when the shadows of the past grew long. But she would face them with Sam beside her, and with the strength she had rediscovered within herself. And when spring came to Copper Hill Farm, bringing new life to the fields and orchards, Lena Marquez would be there to see it bloom, no longer hiding, no longer afraid, finally ready to shine.